Hi, this is one of the Kampung Kelians. There are two Kampung Kelians. I'm going to call this Kampung Kelian B. Why? Because it's the second Kampung Kelian I'm coming to. Now, interestingly, although the name is the same, but this community keeps to themselves and that community keeps to themselves. But they're all Temengor and fishing, just like the others, fishing, planting their own food, vegetables. But they have a lot of rubber trees, and they've planted them pretty well actually. So, but again, the rubber trees, the process is scrub rubber rather than anything else. Okay, come, let's have a look. Panda is doing his PR work. Hi! So, these are the whole community. Well, not the whole community, but the community having a discussion with Handa. They're discussing on the recent elections and how it affects them and what. He's always advising them how to improve themselves. You can see this pretty children. Ah! Samui! Okay, so we'll walk up the village a bit. As usual, they will not. The villages are never big. Come, while we're walking, we'll talk. The villages are never big. It's compared to that you'll find in other places. But if you look at some of the houses, they're not occupied. Now, if you're following traditions, in general, what happens is that when somebody dies from the house, well, in those days when somebody dies in their house, they actually move the whole village. But now they kind of move the house. And those days they will even burn the house and then move away. Now they just move houses, but the more younger generation, they don't do that anymore. They kind of just stay on, you know. Now, when the Temengors are slightly different, when they want to get married, so you have one person who likes the other person, and they would, as the normal process goes, they will ask for the daughter's hand. But what is required is that they must first prove themselves. That means they will be required to help the future in-laws with the farming and with the, whatever the daily household chores that they have to do, hunt for food, and basically to prove that they can take care of the daughter. And once they do get married, they actually do have a custom. It's a very simple custom. It means a bit of dowry, more like giving some items which are made. I was told like necklaces and stuff like that, but nothing gold or diamond. More what is found in the nature. So then usually they would stay with the in-laws for at very least is a year, and once that is done, then they will move to another village probably, but somewhere nearby, not too far. They will not move anywhere very far. It's somewhere nearby where the girl can always come and visit the parents and stuff. Or they might just live in that village, but they'll make their own house. It takes about 3 to 4 days to make a house. Hi! So, got a new friend here. And so, he's not schooling age yet. So, once he is the schooling age, they will go to school in Postkemar. It's quite a beautiful school there. And they have a boat to take them there. And they also have hostels. But again, education in the Temengor community is fairly good. But I would say around 50% of the children will eventually drop out of school, which is very sad. So let's look at the homes. Just like any of the Orang Asli homes, you'll find the usual bamboo, but a lot of the homes are changing. They're using zinc for roofs. Makes a lot of sense because it doesn't last long, the leaves of the palm tree. But you can imagine it's pretty hot. So the kids are very curious. What am I doing? What am I filming? Let's get them involved. Nama apa? To. This is To. Itu? Go there. Let's introduce them. Come, you go this way. It's okay. Introduce. Okay. Nama apa, dek? Nama apa? Cakap kat telefon. Nama apa? Nama. Ya, Ale. Ale. Such pretty good. Pretty cute. Now, look at the view that they have. Rumah mana? Mana rumah? Oh tu. Itu kakak kakak sembunyi bawah So she's pointing to her home. That's her home there. Can you click on it and have a look at their home there? They're pretty well organized, because they always have a kitchen. If you can see an extended kitchen here, you can see an extended kitchen there. So the kitchen is separate from the main home. But the older generation, it's just an open space and they cook in it. And it's not very healthy because the smoke fills up the house. So they will get respiratory problems and things like that. So it looks pretty good because they are very close to Kemar, so they use soap and stuff. Okay. It's a joint responsibility taking care of the children, meaning that they all anyway somehow are close to each other, cousins and second cousins and so on and so forth. So they all take responsibility in taking care of the children. They're very, very responsible, And one thing I'll tell you, one thing about the orang asli, especially the Jahai and the Temengor, they never scold their children. They never scold, raise, shout at their children. So when they go to school and they get scolded by teachers, something new, and they get it's very traumatic for them. There is no specific age where a child must learn how to hunt. So it's just that they follow their parents, they follow helping, responsibility. They just pick it up like that. So it's not specific. Or you must start hunting in certain age, and it's not something like that. So you take joint responsibility. So you have homes, and this home especially has got partition, which means that she must be having a lot of children. So it's one for her and the rest for the children. And sometimes you have even extended families. I've seen where if the daughter gets married, so the son-in-law for the first year will live with them. But then it's so easy, nature, everything you can get. So they might just build another home somewhere in the village here. So now times have changed in that sense in a way, because they don't stay with the in-laws, but they stay with the in-laws community. We're walking down on the other side of the village where they are planting the rubber trees. Now, these are the rubber seeds. The seeds are inside here. Well, the seeds are not used except for replanting purposes. But generally, you want to have a healthy rubber tree, you got to make sure that there's of a specific distance between one rubber tree and the other. And you want it to be clear. You don't want to have too many other plants taking away the nutrients of the rubber trees or the rubber. So you can see here, that's how they're collecting. It's a very old rubber tree, and you can see there's a cup. That's a rubber cup. So when the rubber is tapped from the tree, the latex drops into that container. They usually leave it. Well, it's not good to mix it with water. The value drops. So what they do is they collect it, they just dry it, and that's called scrub rubber. And you find that this is what they do with the garbage. They will burn it. So the disposal is by burning. So it's a lot of it along the way. So they're just disposing it that way. So these are old rubber trees. You can see they're very old. You can still tap, but you don't get so much latex from them. It's a lot of cans. I'm just wondering. A lot of cans. The sardines, chicken, condensed milk. Of course, as your income gets better, you buy all this, and you get used to sweets, and you crave for it. So younger trees. Now, if you come this way, I don't know whether you can see. There is a line across. There's a line across. This one, that's the water pipe. So it means that they're getting water from the hill across the river. So there's a stream from up there. So that water is supplied to this village. So that's gravity feed. But what's the problem? The problem is when it rains heavily, so mud and sand will clog up that pipes. And you can't do anything. You have to replace the whole pipe. Usually the JAKWA, the department that's in charge of the welfare of the Orang Asli, will supply them, but you know, depending on the budget, so sometimes they'll have to just chip in and buy their own. They can't be waiting for the government ministry to provide them. But it's not a good solution because it doesn't last long. From my experience dealing with the villages, it doesn't last long. A lot of them boil water, but not everyone does. But then even you're bathing, and you know, the risk of waterborne infections are there, especially when areas like this, because it's a lake, there's no running water. In this part of the lake, the water is not moving as much, so you have higher risk of waterborne infections. Now, there is no proper toilet, so they do their business in the forest. The good thing is that earlier they used to use the lakes as their toilets. Now they don't do that, because then you have a risk of E. coli, rotavirus, and there were a lot of cases of rotavirus in the late 70s, early 80s, because when the lake just came up. And this is an old house, you can see here everything. This is beautiful, it's nice when you make it. It lasts about 5 years, but then you know you get termites and whatnot coming in. Solar, again, either they get it from the NGOs, but they can nowadays they buy it themselves, so that should give them enough electricity for the night, to spend the night, light it up. See that? Maybe we can have a look at the it's beginning to rain. It's not heavy though, but let's just wait the rain out. You know, the most beautiful thing about here is that when it's time to leave, you get very they're very friendly. They were asking us to put the night up here in one of their empty houses. Now, if it was somewhere in some 5-star hotel would have built here, they would have called it chalet and charged you a bomb, and you would have happily paid for it. Beautiful. So peaceful, so calm.